G'day everybody. Welcome to our live presentation. Today is Saturday, August 2nd, 2025. It's 13 degrees Celsius outside, which is 55.4 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's very wet. So we've got a lot of rain coming in today and a lot more to happen. So you may hear rain on the roof. It's a tin roof, as you can sort of see above me up here. I can't do much about it. If it gets really annoying, obviously you can just tune out. But just let me know, will you, if it does become unbearable, because I can't really tell what the microphone's picking up. We've had a hell of a lot of rain this winter, ever since May. So May, even earlier in the year, May was the last month of autumn. June, July, August is winter, so we've only got 1 month of winter to go. But yeah, we've had an inordinate amount of rain, which is a bit different. You know, the grass hasn't died off, and we haven't had, I think we've had one frost. So here in Australia, if we get a frost on the lawn, you know it's cold when you wake up of a morning. I think we've only had one, and maybe a sort of a part one. Let's just say two to be on the safe side. So that's different. Just today we're without Graham or Spanky or Skanky. They've left me here on my own. And I'll tell you a bit about where they are in a moment. It's something to do with pinball. But firstly, I'd like to dedicate this video to the memory of the late Rob Anthony and Jim Powelson. Two great pinball guys. Jim died a couple of years ago now, and Rob only died about a fortnight ago. Now, some of you may or might not have heard of either of those two gentlemen, but Jim was in Pennsylvania, and he, I can't quite remember the name of his business, but he ran a website, I think it was PA Pinball. It's probably still up. Very experienced mechanic technician on games. And a lovely guy. I first met him back in 2018 and at the York White Rose Game Room show, and last year they had his favourite pinball machine and a sign above it, dedicating to him. And as for Rob Anthony, well, any of you that have solid state machines may have heard of Rob. He's expert board repairer. He could give people advice on machines. I first met him in Chicago in 2018 as well. He had a little room set up to himself, and he was repairing boards there and then. And I think he was selling a few tools. I think I remember buying a couple of nut drivers or something off him at the time. And I had a bit of a chat to him. He was very busy, and I spoke to him again as late as last year. And, everyone, that was friends with him on Facebook knew he was unwell. And I think about a week before he died, he'd put a post up that he'd been sent off to hospital and he wasn't in a good way. And yeah, so he met his demise. I don't know how old he was. He had a support dog by the name of Antar. And Antar used to come to Expo with him and that sort of thing. He was a great dog. So they've got a GoFundMe page set up for Rob to help obviously pay for his funeral and legal costs and so on, I'd imagine, and rehoming Antar. I'm sure Antar misses him, greatly, as everyone that knew both those gentlemen missed them. So yes, Vale Jim Powelson and Vale Rob Anthony. So, Graham and Spanky and Skanky, along with Brett and Kyle, have gone down to the state of Tasmania. So that's the forgotten state below Australia. It gets missed off maps and all sorts of things. In the second largest city, Launceston, there's a pinball festival on starting today and tomorrow's today Saturday and tomorrow Sunday, and that's a charitable event, a bit like our festival we have here in September. And God, that's next month now. So this is the fourth year the Taspin, as they call it, has been held. They've got 78 machines down there, I believe, which is a pretty big effort for a small island. And they have a children's hospital down there that they donate to, and I believe they've donated to date about $25,000 to that charity. So that's a really good thing for a kids' hospital. So they're down there, and it's actually being held at a casino there. So they've got to keep Spanky away from the blackjack tables, and Graham's going to have a hell of a job down there keeping him under control. And a little later on this morning, after you get off this viewing, their boys are going to shoot a video down there of the little bit of the Taspin, give you a bit of a guided tour of it. So hopefully that'll be up on the Goat Shed EM Pinball Repair Specialists Facebook group. Well, it's currently about 6 minutes past 8 now, and I think they'll be down there, they'll all be set up, so they might get a bit of a walkthrough before the show actually starts. Hopefully. Get that a bit more centred. Yeah. So that's good. It's a long trip. The boys left on Thursday. They flew out at about 1:30 in the afternoon, and they've arrived down there. It's 1,700 kilometres, roughly. It's about 1,050 miles. So it's a fair trip to make. I decided not to go down. I was going to go, but someone's got to stay and mind the ship, and I volunteered. We've still been very busy here. What's happening is we've finished 2 machines off in the last couple of weeks. You can see Jungle Princess there behind me. That's finished. That's just testing still. We finished a Bronco off, which the people picked up not last week, the week before. So we've still got 10 machines to get through, but we've sort of put a bit of a hold on people dropping them off, mainly because our Pinfest, as I mentioned a moment ago, is coming up in September. We've got to try and finish a game for there. It's hi Sean, 11:06 p.m. Blighty. I assume you're meaning the UK. Yes. We've got majorettes we've got to get done. It's going into Pinfest. Those of you that are on our Facebook group will have seen me post that. We had that cabinet back and we're doing it. Yeah. So yeah, Sean is from the UK, and a friend of mine, Sean, he was actually born in Australia, and he lived in the UK. His mum and dad moved over there when he was young, and he lived over there for about 28 years. Well, he's come back. He lived in a place called Maidenhead, which I understand is a bit southwest of London. And my ex-boss, who I actually went and had a chat to yesterday, he's just turned 81 years old. His son was a very good cricketer and lived in Coventry for a long while, and he married an English lass. Sadly, she died. Anyhow, enough of that. Too much death. So we've now got majorettes to complete. We've done all the mechs for it, so I'll show it to you in a little while. We're starting to assemble the cabinet back together, and it's starting to take shape. So Graham won't get back till late on Monday, so starting on Tuesday, we'll certainly be getting up to a point where we'll start to get most things in the cabinet. I think we've just got to get the ball elevator in, a few other minor things, and away we go. The front door the guys provided us isn't the right door for an Addaball. It's got a replay button on it, and I polished it yesterday by hand, and it looks a lot better, but it would look much better with a new door, and the door isn't a real great fit either, but anyway, we'll deal with that. So we've got to do that, and we were hoping to get our lightning ball done. God, we've been trying to get this done for 3 years. But we've had a few delays, and I'm not sure what will happen with it yet. We might get it back in time. Otherwise, that was to go in Pinfest as well. Otherwise, we're going to put in Graham's Klondike, which is good to go out the back there. We just got to fine-tune it a bit and give it a bit of a spruce up. Other than that, we had a card whiz come in a couple of weeks ago. The guys dropped that off. So that's the next job. After that, we've got quick draw coming in. We started to do a Williams swinger. Well, we went to start to do it, and the playfield on it was never, ever really good. Never. And we said, oh, yeah, okay. Anyhow, when we actually had a good look at the game, we never noticed this when the chap dropped it off, because I don't think we opened it up or anything. The chimes are all missing, and all the bits associated with it, the washers and everything. We haven't got any of those. And anyway, we thought, and we looked at the motorboard, and it's a bit of a mess. So we phoned him up and said, listen, you know, it's a 4-player game. It's a 2-player game. We've got to spend a lot of time on this to get it even up to scratch. It hasn't got chimes. You know, sure you really want to do this? You know, maybe you'd be better off investing your money in the other machine he's got, which I don't know the title. And he said, let me think about it. So he called us back yesterday and said, yeah, look, I don't think I'll go ahead with that. I get what you're saying. I want it to have chimes. I mean, he can get it. So he's going to take it away, and he might try and search for a set of chimes. So if anyone out there's got a set of Bally chime, beg your pardon, Bally, Williams chimes, I think I said Bally before too, Williams chimes, reach out to us, and this guy could be interested in buying them. I don't know. But like I said, the playfield is, I wouldn't spend the money on it myself. I told him that too. You got to be reasonable about this, you know. No good taking money off someone, and it's going to be a crappy machine. Different case with this majorettes and our lightning ball, for sure. So we got an OXO to come in to do some minor repairs to that. Graham done that about, just over 10 years ago, and it's just a few little things. It's hardly been used, and the guy died. There we go again. Who owned it, and his brothers now got it. And then you wouldn't believe it. We had another guy ring up a couple of weeks ago. He's got a Jungle Queen. Oh my God, 4-player Jungle Queens, Jungle Princesses. We've seen more of those in the last 12 months than any other title. So we've told him, look, we can't do that till mid-October. And then out of the blue, a chap who was trying to get down to one of our training courses, but work keeps stopping him. He's got an abracadabra, and he's going to get that done too. So that's great, a wedge head. Thank God, you know, we don't have as much work to do. And beside that, there is another Jungle Queen in the queue, which is actually the first job in the queue, but the guy just hasn't reached out to us anymore. We contacted him. I don't know, they must think we sit around here waiting for him to ring up and say, oh, I'm ready to bring the machine around. I'll drop it off and you can do it today. So that's sort of gone to the bottom of the queue now. He just hasn't got back to us. I think in fairness, he just doesn't have a trailer, and he had to organise someone with a trailer or something, and it was raining and all sorts of things. And we do have a dropper card in 1,000,000 pieces where the playfield's getting restored. And that same guy, the owner of that, recently bought in the USA, or recently, a good few months back now, a spinner card. And apparently he's picked that up last weekend from the shipping people. So we may see that. And we've got Kyle's Pro Football that we started about this time last year. That's in 1,000,000 pieces, and that's waiting for a cabinet to get done for it. So it's still got heaps of work. Dave Haslam, Jungle Queen is my next machine to work on. Well, we're not glad, Dave. I mean, 4-player, they're 16 scorers. Well, you get a bit tired of them after a while. As I mentioned, Princess behind is only a 2-player, which is good. Yeah. What have we got here? There they are. But anyway, we can only do what we get given. You know, someone mentioned to us, you don't do a lot of Bally or you don't do a lot of Williams. Well, we can only do what people have got. This swinger, we were hoping, we enjoy doing Williams games. But as I said, you've got to make decisions about things and try and help people, and you don't want to sort of be seen as ripping someone off. Oh, why did you do that up for, and charge him money and this, that, and the other thing. Bally, the last Bally, I mentioned this not long ago, we saw here was, what's it called, the spinning disc Fireball. Yeah. And gee, that'd be 2 and a bit years ago. So yeah, we can only do what people give us. I mean, I've never ceased to be amazed where these things come from, and people hear about us. So, Graham's been doing this for 40 years, and I've only been doing this, getting into my 11th year now, sort of thing. But it's the contacts that he's had over the years, like the guy that owns the Quick Draw that I mentioned earlier on, that's in the queue. Graham dealt with that bloke 20 years ago. So the bloke's had it over 20 years. And he couldn't find Graham at first because he lost his business card, and Graham no longer has a landline phone, so his phone number changed or doesn't exist any longer, and he chased us down. So there's a couple of guys around that do solid state games up this way. There's a guy called Ken Shipley. He lives about 45, 50 minutes drive from us, what you call the northern part of the Central Coast. He does all the solid state stuff. So people ring up and say, hey, Ken, I got a Jungle Queen. He says, well, no, I can't fix it. And he gives them Graham's number and gets work that way. We don't need to advertise. It's word of mouth. And as I've mentioned many times, we wouldn't advertise anyway because we're not a business. It's just our hobby. That's why we only work half a day, and that's 6 days a week. What's anyone else? David Haslam mentioned he's got a Jungle Queen to do. Anyone else? What's anyone else working on at the moment? Why don't you let us know? Tell us if you've got any jobs, or you've bought a new machine, whatever it is. Just type that down there in those comments so we can all check it out. There's a lot of documentation on the internet that you can get a hold of about pinballs. Obviously there's YouTube, Facebook with the different groups, and I've mentioned before there's too many groups now of EM, which is, crazy. But anyway, that's the way it is. Can't do much about it. But we have, when Graham mentioned when he first started in 1985, he bought his first machine, which was a Key West bingo machine. He asked the guy for the schematics and the manual, which the guy had because he was an operator, and he couldn't believe. He thought Graham was going to put the machine on site and make money, but he wasn't. So he had to try and work out himself what was wrong with it. So Graham learned on bingo machines before he learned on flipper pinball machines. And any of you that know bingo machines, that's quite an achievement because they are very, very complicated. Very complicated. some of the bingos have a dozen or more step units in them, which is crazy. And the internet really, it was just starting to take off then, and there wasn't any Facebook or stuff. I think they had, what do you call them? What were they? Bulletin boards and stuff like that around that people could get on and learn stuff. And now, look at us all those years on, 40 years ago. Incredible what goes on. So there's a plethora of information out there on the internet. Nothing beats experience. You work on your own machines, you learn, and it's good. Some of the resources that you get, like there's been guys out there, we've spoken about this guy before, Russ Jensen, old school pinball mechanic, wrote up stuff for articles and that, and if you can ever get hold of his articles, there's a whole website. Someone posted it in an answer in the Goat Shed the other day. Yeah, a guy called Patrick Rigg asked if anyone knew where he could get it from, and John Robertson from flippers.com put up a link in Patrick's post. So if you want to go back and have a look, and there's a whole heap of stuff that Russ Jensen done, and I think his articles, these technical articles, were in there as well. I've got it. I got it a while ago. A guy gave me a PDF copy, and I got it printed out, which is good. But an invaluable asset is this. That's the parts catalogue from 1978. You can buy that off the Pinball Resource, and it's got everything in it, everything you need to know. It covers a lot of things. Even in the back, there's a page. There's about 20 pages that talk about rubbers. Where is it? We'll get here. Oh, here you go. Oh, well, first one I opened. There's Jungle Queen, Jungle Princess, all the rubbers you need. What's on the other side? Centigrade 37, is it? Yeah. That's a great book. And I think any collector really should have that book. And within that book, you get things like this. That's all the roto target adjustments. We use that in our training course. It's laminated. Sorry about the reflection. You get stepper adjustments, which we go through in our videos, and things like that. While Graham's been away, I was mentioned earlier on, I polished that door yesterday by hand. I hate doing that. But I sat down. We need to do an audit to the Pinball Resource. And good morning, Kyle, down there in Tasmania. What are you up to? You behaving yourself? You looking after that goat? Yeah, we're doing an audit of the Pinball Resource, and it all adds up. I've got about, have a quick look here. Oh, dear me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 items I need to order, but out of those 23 items, some of the items I need multiple of, like coil sleeves, We probably need to buy 100 coil sleeves. And I buy 100 coil sleeves, that's $75 US. Well, that's over $100 to us. And your shipping, fortunately all that fits in one box. And this is what I keep saying to people. For us here in Australia, you guys are so lucky to have the Pinball Resource and just be able to pay, where we're getting about 65 cents in the US dollar now, but by the time you pay through these, like, we don't pay by PayPal, we use TransferWise, I think it is, but they take a fee, and they're probably not giving you 65 cents, but it's a fairly reasonable, but still you can get the picture how much it costs. We haven't done an order for a long while, and we are running very low on coil sleeves, especially the little, what are they, A8111, they're the little short ones that go in the score reels, the A8111. I've just used, everyone use that, the PBR grease. I mean, some people use, what is it, Super Lube or whatever it is. We use that, and guess what? Oh no, it's empty. But I've got another tub of this in the cupboard behind me, in the white cupboard. So that's obviously going to get thrown away. But we'll order another one just to have, so we've got it, because this stuff we use every day almost. Every day. There wouldn't hardly be a day go by where we don't use it. So you can get that off PBR as well. Just some of the other things we've got to get, like we've got to get a couple of the L adjusting tools. Got to get some of them. We have to get the barrel compression springs, you know, for the shooters. We've got to get flipper cabinet button switches. See, they're $8.92 each. You know, the only good news, when you spend over $100 with PBR, you get 10% discount of everything. So obviously we're going to get a discount. So that offsets a little bit of the cost of the shipping, but not a lot. We've got to get some spring step kits. We've got to get some coils, 9735, 9736 coils. We're pretty well out of them. We scrape and rape to get them. I mentioned we've got to get the sleeves. We've also got to get the standard ones. The bell ones, the long ones, and we also got to get the ones that go in the big coils. You know, those ones, they're a 2.5 inch sleeve that go in there. We've got to get them. They're A5172. What else we've got to get? Coil brackets that go on the steppers for the bonus. We've got to get some of them. We've probably got to get some more side rail nails, because we're just about running out now. And probably got to get some Williams coil stops. We've only got second-hand ones. And any of you speak about coil stops, any of you watch our video, our last video about a part that needed replacing, very last video on there in a Williams stepper. That was the coil plunger. Now, it was really badly worn, and it was causing the arm, when the drive arm moved, the thing was moving around. Anyway, look, watch the video. I'm not going to explain it all to you, but it's worth watching. It's only about a 12-minute video, maybe 15-minute at max, if you got the time. And this coil plunger was that badly worn where the bit fits into it. It was causing all problems. Anyway, in one of the comments, someone said, "Wow, on the video, it'd be nice if you had a machine shop and you could make that." And I thought, well, yeah, that's a good idea. I had a quick look at PBR's site, and I can't see them on there, these coil plungers. They may be there. I haven't asked Steve, but anyway, long story short, our friend Kyle here, who is down in Tasmania now at the moment, and he just made a couple of comments there a minute ago. What's he doing? He's got a friend who has a lathe, and he's going to turn one up for us and see how it comes out. So that should be pretty good. So you've got to be resourceful, I suppose, when you get these machines. People bring machines to us and say, "Oh, how much do you think that might cost to fix?" Well, we give them a conservative estimate, but you can't be specific, because these machines are 50-year-old on average, and there's things worn out in them that would never ever have worn out when they were on location, but they are now, and we've got to figure out problems that the guys back in the day didn't have, and we've got to have parts available that, well, they could readily get, but all the factories are long gone. And that's why we've got to be so thankful and grateful to Steve of PBR and for manufacturing parts, and even considering manufacturing newer parts that he hasn't had done. And there's something in the pipeline there which I've been privy to, because I've been communicating with him about it, and that's going to come to reality. And that's great, because it's a part that we've found quite a few worn out of late. I sent him a sample over where I had it, and I had this part, and I said, listen, here's what I've been talking to you about in the email. And he only got that on Tuesday this week, I think it was. And we've communicated again, and I got another email back from him this morning. So that's good news, people. So you've got to support this man. I sincerely mean that. He's the man, and without him, we'd all be in the shit. Simple as that. Right. So all these groups that we've got out there on Facebook and so on, you read people talking about different things, and people much more experienced than me. You know, I've only been in this 10 years. You know, you got people who've been doing this 40 odd, 50 years. So these Facebook groups are great for advice and that. So someone was talking about how to clean the female side of Jones plugs the other day. Now, we tend not to do that a lot unless we've got trouble. And they are a bit of a bugger to clean, the little tiny things. We've got a little file, a real small file, but it's pretty worn out now, and we can get it down there and gently clean it. The file itself is only about an inch long, inch and a half long, so it's awkward to use. Anyway, someone put a post up that they use a 17 caliber nylon bristle brush. Here it is here. One of them. So that's a product made in the USA. ProShot Products, P.O. Box 763, Taylorville, Illinois. So there you go. They come from the great state of Illinois, and it looks like it's going to be really handy. You can just see the top of it there. It's got a pricing, $12. I think they had them on special. I think it was $8 or something. But I tried to buy it. I bought that off a local company here in Australia, but I can't wait to use it. Yeah, there's the, it's moving. There, can you see it's got a little, see the thread there? So you can make a little handle, which you'll have to do. And yeah, so that should be pretty cool. A bit of probably isopropyl on the end of that and down and twist it. Can't wait to use it. Very exciting. Very, very exciting. So, you know, I bought one of those. It wasn't easy to buy either. The company I bought, oh God, they were hard to deal with. But anyway, I got it. So, see how that goes, and then maybe I'll buy some more. Don't think we'd use it an awful lot, but it's handy to have. So the investment that you've got to make in tools is, you know, important, because you need them. You know, I've mentioned this before. You know, these are the Husky brand spin tights. That's the 3/16 one, and Husky is a Home Depot's home brand, I found, where we use the Klein magnetic ones. They're the ones with the magnet, that rounded bit up in the side there. That's a magnet. They're the magnetic ones. So, you know, you've got to have them. You just have to have them. And I mentioned time and time again, we went metric in the early 70s, and I fortunately, because I was in the typewriter industry, had a lot of tools that I could use, you know, open-ended spanners and things like that. And I got all them in my toolkit at home. I've still got my old typewriter toolkit at home, because I do most work here. I spent a lot of money having a bench made and everything, and buying a drill press and a grinder. And I've hardly used at home because we just come here and use it. Graham's got a better drill press. Speaking about grinder, our grinder broke down the other day. Our apprentice Kyle fixed it. He's an electrician. It was a really simple repair, actually. You just had to pull the front where the switch was. Smoke all came out. What it was, a wire had fallen off, and it was obviously touching things, and it wouldn't go. We needed that. We use that every day for polishing, more so than anything else, with the buffing wheel. So that's quite important. Did anyone answer my question? Kyle's playing blackjack. Goodness me. Keep Spanky away from that, Kyle. And you should be starring in the video down there. Make sure they're going to shoot that video, please. What else is going on at the moment? Graham did mention something the other day. I'm just trying to think what it was. Oh, I know. A guy wanted to know, do we want to buy an AMI hot race? Anyone out there local that wants to buy an AMI hot race pinball machine? Graham was sort of thinking we might buy it to do it up, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of those Spanish machines, Playmatics. They're not my favourite things to work on. The plastic wires lose their colour. Resell. Zachariah, okay, they're essentially Williams. And there's one other one that's a Williams type knockoff too, isn't there? What did Kyle just say then? Brett and Graham. Oh, good, okay. Yeah, so yeah, we're not going to proceed with that for sure and certain. I'm just trying to. Let's go and show you the majorettes. That's probably the best thing to do now, so you can have a look at that and you can see what it looks like. Everything like that. Just a moment. Walk with me. Oh dear. Here we go. There we go. So there's majorettes. It's had a paint job. Basically, cabinet's all been repaired. New base in the cabinet. There's the front door. You can see it's had a new neck been repaired. The stencil was made, handmade, painted. We've got all the or not all, but there's the front door. As you can see, I mentioned I polished it. Yeah, it looks pretty good. You get up really close to it and it's got a bit of pitting in it. So as I said, it would be nice if the guy bought a new door. I think it'd look a lot better, and it's got the replay button on it, which isn't for an Addaball, but we've got the playfield latches back in. There's the banana is back in. The W brackets have gone back in. The big bell up the back there and the knocker is back in. There they are there. So it's starting to take shape. These were all machine polished as best we could anyway. And the side rails that weren't replaced, they were polished. Look, once again, they're not perfect. You can see a little bit of an imperfection there. But, you know, who cares? Flipper buttons. But the owner didn't want to buy them, so, you know, they are available to us. I think they're about, we've got people here that make them. I think they're about $65 a set or something like that. So it is worth it if you're going to do a machine. So we got those. You've all seen Lightning Ball before. We just had a bit of a stalemate, bit of a dead stop with that at the moment. Nothing more we can do that. Who did the webbing? Oh, we had a chap do it, David. Yeah. You like it or you don't like it? We used to repair, Carol Graham did repair cabinets and do all that, but we've sort of subcontract some of that work out now because we're just too busy repairing machines. If we didn't if we had to still do that, we'd be slow as. Look at the side of that jungle. Princess, it's terrible, isn't it? But, you know, it plays really, really good now. You know, it came up pretty good. We had a water slide decal made of the Tiger. See that? We didn't worry about any of this here because, yeah, the Tiger, it didn't look too good. So it's looks pretty good. We're happy with it. That's the main thing. The mylar was all crinkled on the damn thing, and we had to lift it off. You couldn't leave it there. You couldn't play the damn game. So it lifted a bit of the Tiger's head off, which, you know, wasn't any good. So we had a friend of ours who's pretty artistic make us a water slide decal and got that back and done. Some of the things you've got to do, eh? Now I'm looking at that sign there. We're still undecided about those signs, people. I mentioned we have to buy 100 of those. That's the only way we can buy them. We just can't buy 10 or 12 or 20. We've got to buy 100. We first got those about 2 years ago. And 2022, I took 40 over to the States, and we sold some and gave some as gifts and so on, and then we had the rest, and that's the only living one left now. So, as I mentioned before, we're hobbyists, we're not a business. We don't have a business account with a ton of money in it. We spend our own money, and that's why we appreciate anyone that gives us a super chat here in this type of presentation, or a super thanks for our videos on YouTube. Even if it's only a couple of bucks. If 5 people gave us $2 each per broadcast, that's $10. That all adds up to our monetisation we get off YouTube. And all that money goes back into Pinball. So we do all this for our viewers, our YouTube. It's all free. And you know, if people want to make a donation, I can assure you it is gratefully accepted. So, David, yes, oh, okay, yep, yeah. Well, anyone else tell us? David told us about his machines. He mentioned earlier that he's got a Jungle Queen. And he's got an outer space to do as well. Who else has got something? Anyone bought a machine recently? Yes, no? Maybe not. No? I'd really like a couple more Williams games. I'd like a riverboat. This is the 60s games, of course, a riverboat. I'd like a Moulin Rouge. And I'd like a heat wave and a touchdown. But I won't get them because I haven't got the room. I'd have to sell some of my other games. I think I'm pretty well... Can't see myself buying too many more pinball machines unless something comes up. It's difficult to fit them in, you know. As I said, I've got 9 in a 2-car garage, so I've got 9 of them on one side of a 2-car garage. Yeah, Kyle says he's working on triple action, but that doesn't count. Oh, David, you've got a Moulin Rouge. You've never rolled it. Now, David, you know, being you know, an artist yourself, you'd enjoy the way they have the artist palette on Moulin Rouge, where as you get things, it lights up the artist palette. It's just a fun machine. It's got a little kicker holes down the bottom there near the flippers, and it's just a game I grew up with in the 60s. Same as Alpine Club. You know, you got the skier up the slope, then later on 7 Up came out. It's interesting, isn't it? Williams had a heat wave, in the 60s. And later, much later, in the later 70s, Gottlieb came out with C37 with the same type of thing, you know, the ribbon bizzo. But Williams had already used the ribbon on heat wave and on Olympic hockey and maybe another game I can't think of. I just liked their games. We used to play them a fair bit. You know, as a kid growing up, you know, you guys probably had your local arcade or soda joint that you went to. Bowling alley. The pinball machines were everywhere, weren't they? And when I was a kid, I played my first pinball machine in about 1963. I would have been 10-year-old. And we used to walk past this shop on the way to the local swimming pool. And you can hear this ding, 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 and it was quite a mesmerising noise. And you sort of looked in, and this was a burger shop. You know, they sold burgers and milkshakes and stuff. And you finally got the courage, shall we say, to walk in, because they're all older kids in there, and eyeball this machine, and then you put your money in and played it. So it was a nickel a game, or our nickel was called sixpence in those days, which is now 5 cents. And away you went, you know, and you might have lost your money. And the particular game I used to like was Tropic Isle. So everyone that knows Tropic Isle, there's monkeys climb up the palm tree, and every time you get a monkey to the top of the palm tree, you get a replay. And you get the 2 monkeys, 2 replays, and 3 monkeys, 3 replays, and then it resets and goes back down to the bottom of the tree. So we'd rather hope that at least 2 monkeys or the 3rd monkey was on its way up the tree, and we'd work to achieve that by knocking out the A, B, C, D targets. And that's how you advanced your monkeys. And then if you got the rollovers out 1 through 5, so you had to, skill shots mainly, unless a pop bumper flip one back up the rollover lane, you had 5 balls to get 5 rollover lights out, and that lit your specials. And boy, if you were lucky enough to get them on 2nd or 3rd ball, you could make a killing. And as a kid, that was great. So that was my introduction to pinball. And my friend and I, we played them all the time. We rode our push bikes to different suburbs to play different machines. And just got memories. You know, I've got a Williams Soccer, 1964. My dad used to play golf of a Saturday, and he'd come home and he'd take my mother and myself out for a feed of fish and chips at a couple of different places. And one shop we used to go to, they had this Williams Soccer, and I just loved the fact that you could select the team when you shot the ball, and then you had to try and score goals to get a replay. And it was fun. And I hadn't seen Williams Soccer for 50 years till I first went over to the USA, and then I played one at, in Pittsburgh, Pinball PA, is it, or something? I don't know. There's a big joint there. The bloke fixes machines downstairs, and you've got a museum upstairs. And I thought, well, I'd really love to get a hold of one of these. And, you know, I eventually found one. And I mentioned Jim Palson, the guy that, you know, died a couple of years ago. He had one, and I said, well, I'll buy that off you. And then he said, oh, great, okay. And anyway, what happened was he was very good about it. One turned up here in Australia, and I said, oh, man. I said, look, I found... No, that's good, perfect. He said, I'll sell it, don't worry. I was all embarrassed that I told him I'd buy it, and that because, a lady had one down in Melbourne. And it's the first machine I ever bought, first and only machine I ever bought sight unseen, because she sent me some good pictures. It turns out her husband had died as well, and it was in the shed, and she didn't want it there any longer. She was going to sell the house eventually, and so I got that, and Graham painted it for me, and it looks good. And that's the one we had a really weird stepper problem with scoring there. So that's another YouTube video you should go back and check out, because that was a super cool problem. It took a while to figure out that. Really should have figured it out a lot quicker, but have a look at that video too if you haven't seen it. It's about 2, maybe 3 videos back. So I think we've got well over 300 videos up now. 3, I can't remember. Quite a lot. Sometimes we struggle to think of what are things to do, and other times it falls in our lap, you know, and sometimes we've already fixed something and said, oh, we should have done a video on that, so we do a video on it, but we do it after the fact. And sometimes we make mistakes in our videos and we try and correct them when I review them, and either mention it, like I remember one there a while back, I said switch 1C and it should have been 2C or something like that, or vice versa, so I put a little thing up in the video. And sometimes we miss the mistakes, and it's just the way it is. It's not planned or rehearsed, it's just ad lib and as we go, a bit like, or exactly like what we're doing right now. So please forgive us. And as I've always said, you do things right, you'll only have to do it once. So do it right, do it once. And it's a great philosophy. And the next philosophy that we don't say a lot, but is look, listen and learn. And I firmly believe that we can do that or learn off everybody. You learn something new every day in this game. I certainly do. And you learn it off other people. Sometimes people that have only just got in the game might say something, you think, well, that's not a bad idea, you know. And you've got to give them praise for that. And sometimes you learn stuff off people that have been in the game for 50 years. Now, I don't go on Pinside. I don't bother with it. You got, hey, Frank C. Love the goat shed? Thank you. Spanky sends his regards. I mentioned that, well, I think everyone knows that we do these fun with pinball things. And William, yes, I did. I'll tell you a bit about that in a moment. And there's a guy, he lives in Seattle. His name's, on Pinside, he goes under Tim Me, Timme. Okay, his name's Tim Meehan, and he's a coach on Mark Gibson's Fun with Pinball. He's been doing, he's probably around about my age. Well, he's got to be, because he's been doing it since the 70s when he was going to college or something. And wow, what that guy, like Gottlieb, he really knows his stuff, you know. Williams, he worked for an operator and was doing machines, so he's been fixing pinball machines for over 50 years, but he's really versed in some of the stuff on Gottlieb's, and it's quite, excuse me again, fascinating to listen to him and watch, well, not watch what he does, listen to what he says. And yeah, it's really, really cool. He turns out he grew up in Chicago, and where he lived, he was only a couple of miles, like in walking distance, to all the 3 big factories, Gottlieb, Williams and Bally. So that's pretty cool. So as a kid, oh, there's a pinball machine factory, and everyone knows Chicago was the home of pinball. So that's good. Yeah, so William Jensen says, did I ever work on a Little Joe? Yeah. Not last time I was in, not here, but I worked on one in America. Can you believe that? We were going to a guy's place. My friend Craig that I travelled with knows now. What's his name? In Ohio. Mike Pasak. We went to his home, Anyway, Craig had bought something off him and wanted to pick it up, and we were actually in Ohio at the time. We were heading to Girard to go the next day to check out the Rob Burke's museum, and this guy had a few machines out in a little area there, and there was a chap working on this little Joe, and he was having problems with it. And I was talking to the guy, and I didn't want to interrupt him too much, and I could see what his problem was. I said, oh, do you mind if I tell you what I believe your problem is? And he sort of looked at me, because he didn't know me from bar soap. Oh, okay. Anyway, what his problem was, the Williams, where the armature on the motor sticks, and the motor overruns. That was his problem. I was watching his motor, and because he's doing battle with this, and I said, look, have you got any isopropyl or something in a spray bottle we can spray in there and try and free it up? And he gave me a bottle of something, and we sprayed it in there, and it fixed it. So that was my experience with that game. And here I am in Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia, and we were doing this in some place in Ohio. So that was pretty cool, eh? I don't go over to the United States to fix machines, but I thought I'd try and help this guy out, and I do help some of my friends out with machines. When I stay on Bob Milsner's farm, I normally get involved and do some of his machines with him and for him while he's at work. Gives me something to do, and helps pay for my lodgings. And yeah, and I went to last year, I went over to another guy's place, Bill. He's not far in Rockford, Illinois. And this guy does all these beautiful, he was a spray painter in an auto shop, and colour matching, it's perfect. And he's a great guy, and a few months back now, probably 3 months ago, we had a video call with Bill and Bob at Bill's place while they were doing some more work. So yeah, it's pretty good to work with. There's the rain coming again now, so you might be able to hear that on the roof. It's just going to rain all day. So be it. What can you do? Just bear with it. Only, as I said, only another in about another 6 weeks. So that'll be second week of September. It will have warmed up here a bit because that's spring, and then we'll get progressively warmer. You're still having, I saw some people say they're still having 100-degree temps in the United States. Is that still the case with any of you people where you live? Just type us a comment and let us know. It's the humidity that 100 degrees is. When I was in California in 2022, it was 100. We were at Long Beach at Randy Peck's place, and it was 100 degrees. But there was no humidity, and that sort of made it bearable. And the next day, after we'd been to Randy Peck's New Pike Arcade, we were driving over to Vegas. I can't remember the name of the highway you go over, you guys would know. And, quite a fair drive, maybe 4 hours, I can't remember, maybe 5. It was the same thing, it was 100 degrees. And we had a rental, we had this BMW. Would I buy a BMW? No. I got a Toyota RAV4 and it drives better than the BMW Series 3 we had. But anyway, it's personal choice, isn't it? So yeah, anyone got any yes, no, yes? Yeah. 105 here in Vegas, 8% humidity. Right. Well, it gets warm there. It is the desert. I remember the first time I went to Las Vegas, I knew it was sort of in the desert, but we're driving in. Yeah, we drove in, we drove in or flew in? Yeah, we flew in, Yeah, and I remember looking out the plane window and thinking, wow, you know, where are we? And then when we drove out to the Hoover Dam, you know, you got to see a lot more of that desert type area. And out near, what is it, Lake Mead, I think it is. And then Boulder City. That's where they have the coffee cup or something, a world famous diner. That's a pretty good place too. You get to line about the front and put your name down to get in and wait half an hour. But it was worth it. Good experience for an Australian to go into a cool American diner like that. We don't have diners here, people, as per se. There might be a few places called them, but not as you guys know them, you know, where you can walk in and go up and sit down at the counter and on the stools, and we really don't have any of that. It's never been a big thing here. And the American barbecues, we've got those sort of things, you know, but I've been to a couple of good ones of those as well. All right, anyone got any questions for us? Because we're going to sign off soon. I think we've been on this an hour now. And if we can help anyone with anything or anything they want to know what Spanky's up to. Just a reminder, when you watch our YouTube videos, sometimes people ask us for technical help. We really don't want to do that on the chat in the video thing because you're limited to what you can do. And the fact is we also want everyone else to learn at the same time. So that's one reason why we sort of say to people, look, could you ask that question on our Facebook page? And some people aren't on Facebook. Okay, we'll try and help them, but that's just what we do. And also, anyone wants to join our Facebook group, which we get quite a lot of people. I think we've got about 5,000 odd members. We could have twice as many. But we ask 3 simple questions. And if you don't answer them, you don't get in the group. We send you a message saying you really need to answer the questions. Some people do and reapply, some people don't bother. You don't get in the group. It's quite frustrating, really. I mean, the questions are there to be answered. People just go, bang, I want to join the group. I blame Facebook in a lot of ways because they get, they show suggested groups nowadays and people just go click and they think that it's all over bar the shouting. I recently joined a couple of typewriter groups that I wasn't aware that were available. Everyone knows that was my trade, typewriter mechanic. And you had to answer questions to get into the group, or you wouldn't be allowed in, and it wasn't difficult to answer. How many typewriters do you have in your collection? Well, no, none. Why do you want to join the group? Well, because I fixed typewriters for 50 odd years. That's probably a good enough reason to let you in the group, So yeah, please, if you know any friends and you say, look, join their Facebook group, tell them they've got to answer the questions. They won't get in. And not to be offended if they don't, it's just, we want people who have got a genuine interest in electromechanical pinball machines in our group. We had a guy the other day wanting to post a video of all solid state games. No thanks, we don't want that. There's other groups for that. This video you'll probably look at from Tasmania will see some solid state games. It's just that the boys are down there and it's a charity thing and we'll sort of allow that, But we're electromechanical guys. Not interested in solid state. Thanks very much. Not at all. A lot of people have trouble accepting that, but just the way it is. It's the era I grew up in, as the era Graham grew up in. And Graham was playing pinball machines when he was only a little kid, with his elder brother. Would take him to the local slot car track, which is here where he lives today. That's where he grew up. And, that's only a 10-minute walk for a kid from here. And they'd go there and play the pinball machines. Is there anything I missed there? Pretty much no. Okay. All right, people. Thanks so very much for joining us today. And remember, this video is in the memory of Rob Anthony and Jim Powelson. Bye for now.